Hello, 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 everybody. Hi. So let's see who is here today. Diane, Kate, Andy, Crystal, Nicole, Alison, Pip, Natalie, Jeanette, Daphne, Anna Law, Caitlin, Veet, Karen, Natalie, yes, I got it right. Natalie, Meti, Aileen, Ilana, Prashantha, Wendy. Okay, is there anyone? Dee is also here. Charity, hello, gorgeous Charity, right back at you. Jeanette is here. Who else is here? Desiree is here. Wonderful, wonderful. Nontlantla, hello, darling. Wonderful. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I can't believe, Google, hello, Google. I can't believe that it's already the 5th day. I feel like this time has really flown by. Renee is here as well. Jackie G. Welcome, 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 everybody. The time just seems to have flown by so quickly. And as you all know, I battle to fit everything that I want to fit in for you guys in these sessions, but I've tried to jam pack it with as much as I possibly can. And today I was thinking about, what do I give you for the final day? What is the information that I can give you that is going to serve you the most today on your final day? We went over our life's path and kind of where I went into the space of almost dying from my old life. And today I really want to speak about the rebirth into my new life, because I really do look at my life in that way, that I had one life and then I was reborn into another life, which is the life that I'm living now, because so many layers and aspects shifted and changed about the old life that it really felt like I was being born into a new life. And it's so interesting because, I'm not sure if you guys have heard me speak about this before, but I'm going to repeat it just in case. It was like I went through a birth, because there I was like an infant lying on a bed. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't wash myself. I couldn't change myself. I couldn't do any of those things. And I was surrounded by family for the first time in a completely different way. And then I got brought home like an infant from hospital after my chemo, and I was surrounded by family in a completely different way. And so there was definitely a shift and a healing that went on deep within my soul. It was just echoed now in the physical reality. When I had that first chemo, I think I told you guys it took 9 hours, because they were so scared that my body wasn't going to cope with it. And the one thing I must say I maintained throughout was my sense of humor. I believe that maintaining a sense of humor is key to getting through absolutely everything. It's like, I think it was a good sort of 6 hours into my chemo, because that everyone kept saying, Susanna, are you feeling nauseous? Are you feeling nauseous? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay, but I'm strong. I'm going to do this. It's totally fine. I'm not going to throw up. And then at one point, I remember my dad looking over and he was like, babes, are you sure you're not going to throw up? And I was like, no, I'm fine, Dad, I'm fine. And he was like, okay, I'm just going to put this bucket next to you here. And I was like, okay. And I just turned and like hurled the bucket. And then I stopped and I went, I told you I'm fine. It's totally fine. Nobody saw anything. And I put the bucket down and just carried on with the treatment. We all kind of laughed about it and carried on. I do think it's really important to just have a sense of humor every step of the way, wherever you are. Find the humor, find the joy. One of the things that I have to speak about, and this is going to be quite a challenging one of you, for me, is releasing the victim And I want to speak about this before I go home, because I had at this stage now released the victim. And it was kind of one of the big steps in my healing. And that's not to say that I've completely released the victim on every layer of my being. It still does exist sometimes, and it pokes out its little head. And then I have to look at it, and then I have to figure out how to get past it again. But there are three things to getting out of victim mentality that I want to go through with you guys, and it is in your workbook as well. Does anyone know why it is important to release the victim? Any ideas? Yes, sense of humor. How to cultivate one. Always look on the bright side of life. You know, you need to, it is cultivating. Happiness is a practice. Happiness is without a doubt a practice. And one of the things, I do want to answer that question. So please will you remind me, actually, Charity, because happiness is a practice. It's not something that just happens. It's a practice. And I will give you actual tools to cultivate a happiness mindset. So will you remind me about that in our Q&A session? Will all of you just remember that question, because it's a really good question. Okay, cool. I'm going to carry on with this. Yes, take responsibility, get back to your power, live life fully, amazing, be free, get your power, part of the healing process. Okay, so victim mentality basically goes, poor me, help me, I'm in need, I am powerless, I'm in a situation where I am not in empowerment, I am a victim. That makes sense to everyone, right? Give me a yes if you guys get what I'm saying. If you dip into your truth, ladies and gentlemen, is there reward in being a victim? Everyone's going, nope, no, no, no. That's not true. There is reward in being a victim. There is reward. I think there could be, Eileen, you're right. Yes, there is reward in being a victim. So I'm going to tell you a story about a guy that I met that I coached for a little bit. I gave him a few coaching sessions. He got type 1 diabetes. So I just did 2 free coaching sessions with him at one stage, because it was like a while ago, and I knew he was really battling, and I saw that I could possibly help this person. So I spoke to him, and I said to him, okay, tell me the story. How did you get this? And we spoke and spoke and spoke. And I said, okay, so where is the reward in this for you? And he was like, what do you mean? Where's the reward in this for me? And I said, well, where's the reward in you being ill? And he looked at me and he got tears in his eyes. And he said to me, nobody's ever asked me that. And I said, okay, but there's no judgment here. There's never any judgment with me and anybody else. I've done this. Like I've been the victim. I've reaped the rewards of being a victim. So I've done this. There's no judgment for anybody else. I said, where is the reward for you? And he said, well, actually, he said, 2 years ago, my marriage was falling apart. He said, my wife was spending no time with me. She didn't have any interest in me. She wanted to do everything else except spend time with me. And then I got sick. And when I got sick, all of a sudden, my wife needed to be there for me. And she stepped into this role of the caregiver, of loving me and looking after me and cooking for me and making sure I was okay. And he said, so that's my reward. That's what makes being sick worthwhile. And I said, well, then, do you really want to get better? And he went really quiet. And then he said, no. He said, because what if I get better and then my wife loses interest in me again and she doesn't care for me anymore, she doesn't spend time with me anymore, and she realizes that this isn't where she wants to really be. Does that story make sense to you guys? Give me a thumbs up in the comments. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So much so, absolutely. Brilliant. I hate being ill. There is no value. Debbie, I can tell you that when you sit and you are honest with yourself, you're going to find it. You know, one of the things that I know that being sick did with me, remember when I was faced with this wonderful romance, this beautiful romance, this man that I thought, oh, he's going to sweep me off my feet and love me forever. And then the person in me, the little coward in me, who was petrified of actually being loved again, and then possibly going through the heartache of losing that love again. What did I do, guys? I sabotaged it. Do you remember? I told you the story. I sabotaged it. That was in The Power of Forgiveness. If you guys haven't watched it, go watch it. I'm very honest about the fact that I sabotaged myself. There was this wonderful man, this beautiful man. And what did I do? I went, oh my goodness. And why did I do it? I did it because ending my marriage was harder than almost dying for me. And I know a lot of people have gotten divorced. I get that. And everybody goes through a different experience when they get divorced. But for me, coming from the type of childhood that I had, being so desperate to create a family of my own, focusing so hard, putting so much energy, so much love into creating this image of this future with this man, giving up so much because I gave up so much of myself, of my dreams, putting it into my marriage, trying to make it work with everything in me. And there's reasons why it didn't work, of course. But my marriage ending, I did not believe in divorce, but my marriage ending was like the biggest death I'd ever experienced, because it wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of my dream that I had created for my whole life. It was for me the end of the possibility of me having children and a family. It was the end of my relationships, not only with this one man, but with everybody that surrounded us. Because if anybody's been through a divorce, they'll know everything shifts and changes. Your friendship groups shift and change. Your family members that were their family members are suddenly not your family members anymore. Does anybody understand what I'm talking about there? Can I get yeses? Okay. All right, I get that. Yes. And the thing is that was so sore that what did I do? I built the Great Wall of China times 25 around my heart, put on the mask. Remember we spoke about the masks of I'm fine, everything's okay, and buried everything inside and carried on instead of dealing with that pain. And that pain was just an echo and another layer to the pain I'd felt when I was little, craving a family and having this broken family that I had, losing all of that when I was little. Can you see the layers building up? And so when I was sick, my trade-off there, the thing that served me was that I made an excuse. I was like, he's never going to love me if I'm sick, if I'm this mess. I mean, what value is he going to get from loving this mess? This is a great excuse to be able to run away and not open myself up, not be vulnerable to possibly being loved. Because when we're vulnerable to being loved, what are we also vulnerable to? Heartache, having our hearts broken. I want to know, Stephanie's with me. She gets what I'm talking about. I want to know who else has done that before. Who else has gone, I'm just going to exit out of this and I'm not going to go there because it's much safer. I'd rather, okay, there we go. Me too, me too, me too, me too, me too. Me too, me too. Lots of me too's. Absolutely me. We've all done it, guys. You're not alone. I just speak about it to you guys because I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know you're not alone. But there's absolutely reward in being a victim because it protects you from certain things and it draws towards you attention that you might not otherwise have had. Who's brave enough to say, I've played that card before? Even if it's the flu, you know? Oh, I'm feeling sick. Please, will you go and make me some soup or some tea? Yes, me. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being honest, girls. Definitely. Man flu. Yeah, I've had man flu. I've had such bad man flu. I swear. We've all had man flu, girls. Most of us like put on our big girl panties, but we've had man flu. We've all done it, guys. We've all done it. Feel like that. I felt like that when I could not walk for 5 months. Wow. What a wonderful, vulnerable, honest thing to say. That's the first step, is taking responsibility and going, okay, where am I doing this? What am I gaining by being the victim? What would I lose if I had to stop playing the victim? And the third question is, what would I gain by not playing the victim? And you need to go through the process and you need to do it a few times until it really sinks in. Because when you realize that not playing the victim, although it may be scary, and although it might not be in your comfort zone anymore, because we always gravitate towards our comfort zones, the reward that lies there, once you realize the reward that lies there is far greater, and you mean that honestly within your soul, your healing journey, your shift energetically, automatically is being activated. You don't need to do anything else. Do you know what I'm saying? Because inside, you are already changing and shifting towards that. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know if this makes sense. Frick, this is hectic. I know. But you know what? Somebody's got to tell you the truth. And so I'd rather you think I'm freaking hectic, but thank God I told you the truth. And now you're thinking about things in a different way. And then that's sparking a different truth in your mind. And then a different truth, and you're moving now through that tunnel much faster than you were before. Are you with me? Say yes. I'm seeing so many people saying, what a realization, such a realization. It is, I've got goosebumps. I know when I realized I was doing that, I was like, Susanna, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then I was like, yeah, but maybe I can just. And then I was like, no, you can't. And that has happened a few times. So don't feel alone if you have moments where you go, but it's just easier. And then your big girl panty side of you, or your big boy pants side of you steps in and goes, no. We've had enough of playing small now. It's time to play big. I don't think I play the victim often, but my partner does. Don't really know how to cope with him, Aileen. So that's part of the triangle. You know, that triangle that I was talking about from codependency trap. That's what's going on there. I would read that book, Breaking the Codependency Trap, but that's what it sounds like there. I tend to stay away from people when I feel sorry for myself. Me too. Me too. I don't like it. I don't like seeing that side of myself because I know it's a shadow aspect of myself, you know? And so what I do is I tend to go inward, deal with it, embrace it. Why am I feeling like this? But now I found compassion for that side of myself. So I don't judge myself in that process of removing myself anymore. I just remove myself, and that's okay. I remove myself and I go, okay, Susanna, what is going on here for you? Why are you feeling this way? Why are you feeling like you want to dip into that shadow aspect of yourself? What is going on for you here? Like if I think back and think about the little girl who needed attention desperately. And so now when I have a cry for attention and I think of, oh, that's my little inner child going, me, I need some love. Then I can be compassionate with myself and I can go, oh, I'm sorry. Have I not been looking after you properly? That sucks. You so deserve more love than that. You see what I'm saying, guys? So it's steps and shifts to really learning how to look after yourself properly. Caitlin is saying, wow, this is amazing. So many pennies dropping for me. Yay! I love those sort of comments. Love them. Wonderful, wonderful. Steps and shifts. Very interesting. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, guys. So does that all make sense to you? Because that is your homework. That is your homework, is to go and find that out for yourselves, because by doing that work, you are going to empower yourself beyond measure. So much sense. This is a breakthrough, Anna Law says. Wonderful. Yes, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. I love my hell yes. Okay, amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, great, guys. You're doing fantastically. I'm so, so proud of you. Hell yeah, I agree. Breakthrough, Diane says. Wonderful. I'm getting hot from all this excitement. Let me take off my jersey. Okay, so what I'm moving on to now is embrace the new you. This is what I want you to do, is prepare yourself for the new you that is arriving. Embrace this new you. Now, I embraced it by when I went home, I ate differently, I exercised differently, I spoke differently to myself, to other people, I meditated regularly, I did all these things differently. Why did I do those things differently? Because I decided, remember yesterday we said you make the commitment to show up as your highest self, as the highest version of yourself, who is going to love fully, who is going to embrace life fully. Do you remember I said that? Yes? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I see some nodding going on. Good, I'm glad. If you show up as the best version of yourself, are you going to eat junk food and fill your body with things that are not good for you? No, you're not. You're going to care about what you put into your body, because what you put into your body, you are what you eat. You are what you consume. This is very important. It's not just you are what you eat. You are what you consume on every single level. So your food is just a starting point. What are you putting into your body that is feeding and nourishing this incredible machine, this amazing piece of equipment that allows you to walk and run and hug and touch and kiss and dance? What are you feeding this to support it in doing what it needs to do? And I went really extreme because I needed to, because my body was failing me. And so for the first couple of months, I literally cut out all sugars. I cut out all the things that my body didn't agree with, wheat, all of it was a trial and error thing for me, because I didn't know anyone with lupus. And my doctor had given me a website to look at, but it was really, really basic stuff that I don't eat anyway. like deep fried foods and things like that. There were one or two tips there. They didn't want me to have beans, like any kind of beans. That was the one thing that I remember like taking away from that thing. But there was no diet that I could find that was healthy for somebody with systemic lupus. And so everyone kept saying to me, Susanna, you need to eat what this friend of mine's got cancer and this is what she's eating. But that built an immune system. I couldn't build an immune system. I needed to balance my immune system. So I needed to eat in a different way. So I had to do major research into what was actually good for my body. I went to holistic doctors that could actually test, and they would take everything into account. So they take your blood type into account. They take your personality into account. Yes, that does count. They take the way in which you live your life into account. And from that, they said, okay, they did live blood analysis and said, for the next 3 weeks, this is your diet. And this is what you're going to do. And that's what I did. And I followed it super strictly. And then the next 3 weeks, I went and had a live blood analysis. And then that was my diet. And I followed that really strictly. And I was super strict with myself, like super, super, super strict with myself. Because I know so many people. I do know about Ayurveda. Yes, I do. I know so many people that are sick, but they still eat whatever they want to. And that goes back to an old sort of way of thinking of like, oh, you know what, I'm on antibiotics, so it doesn't matter what I eat because the antibiotics are going to sort it out in my system. Meanwhile, you're on antibiotics, you should be supporting your system if you ever needed to take antibiotics. Does what I'm saying make sense to you guys? Food is medicine, 100%, yes. Food is medicine. It can also be poison. Now I've got a much more balanced approach because I'm healthy. So 70% of the time, the food that goes in is healthy, good, nourishing food, 70 to 80% of the time. And then I have my cheats. I love biscuits. I love them. I love them with my tea. I love rice cakes with butter and white powder. I love it. And so that is my cheat. Those are the kind of things I cheat. Buenos. Do you know Buenos? Bueno chocolates? I should be sponsored by Buenos. I love them. It's like a childhood, like so delicious. Those are my cheats. And you know what? Every day I have a cheat. But I don't just eat rubbish all day long, you know? So it's about balance. It's about finding that balance for you. And I can't tell you exactly what to eat because it's so individual to each and every one of you. What I can do, if any of you are battling, is I can give you a few people to contact who you can get some coaching from, who you can speak to about your personality types, what your blood type is. Do you know what I mean? You can have consultations with them. That I can do, absolutely. But you've got to look at yourself as a whole human being. And then you've got to say to yourself, what is going to serve me best? And this is every step of the way, because this is really important. What worked for me, worked for me. Every single thing that worked for me is not going to work for you. Because we have different lifestyles, because we built differently, because I'm a different energetic spirit to what you are. You know what I'm saying, guys? So you've got to find what works for you. Honor yourself in that. It's like, I remember CBD oil was very hush-hush at the time. Like now it's legal and everything. But at the time, CBD oil was very hush-hush. But one of my friends was like, I can get you CBD oil. It's proven to do this, 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 this. And me personally, I've seen CBD oil help people before. So it's not that. But I had a really bad experience when I was young. When I lost my virginity, I'd had a joint. I was young. I was a teenager. I was being reckless. And he spiked it with something. And so now if I smell anything to do with dope or grass or whatever, that's the energy that it has for me. So I knew that CBD wasn't right for me because I have I have an attachment or like a memory cord attachment to it. And so it just doesn't resonate with me. But for someone else, it could work brilliantly. Do you understand what I'm saying about listening to yourself, listening to your inner heart? You need to figure out what is right for you. Okay, so that was on the food side. On the sleep side, before I got sick, how many of you sleep 8 hours a night? I mean, I hope you are with this lockdown and everything that's happened, but how many of you, just be honest, sleep 8 hours or more a night? Caitlin, you little gem, 9+. No. Yes, Aileen, 9. Good. 7 to 8, 6 to 7, 6. No. Okay. Ariana Huffington. Do you know the Huffington Post? It is owned by a girl boss extraordinaire, guys. Her name is Ariana Huffington, and she is superb. I love that woman. She's fantastic. And she's written a book on the importance of sleep, because sleep is that important. Sleep allows, and it's the best beauty serum you can ever give yourself. Desiree is cheekily grinning in the corner there because it's the truth. Daphne's also grinning because it's the truth, guys. I promise. It is the best beauty serum you can give yourself is enough sleep. Sleep is the secret sauce to staying young and beautiful. So you ladies should, and gentlemen, all be really focusing on getting at least 8 to 9 hours sleep a night. It is also the absolute secret sauce, and that's if you're healthy, for getting better. And that's why I don't understand how hospitals work, where they wake you up all the time and you go to sleep late and they wake you up in the middle of the early hours of the morning. Is ridiculous, because you should be sleeping as much as you can, because it is within that sleep state that your body is repairing itself. It is within that sleep state that your mind is processing all the things that are happening on a subconscious level, which means that it's processing and integrating any healing, any adjustments that you've made that day to your energy and vibration is being calibrated during your sleeping time. Does that make sense to you guys? Can you understand why sleep is so important? It's one of the reasons why women get postpartum depression, is because they need the sleep so desperately. They've found that keeping people awake is one of the best forms of torture. In the past, when they used to torture people, it was one of the most effective forms of torture, was just keeping them awake, because you start going mad. It's one of the worst things you can do for yourself. Meti, you know that not having enough sleep is important, and you know that you should be doing it. So I need you to make a commitment to yourself to start doing it. That's all it is. You just start doing it as much as possible. And you know, I'm not good. Well, I actually learned how to have really good power naps when I was sick, where I would just because I would just sleep all the time as much as I possibly could. But now I still use that sometimes. And my boyfriend is brilliant at power napping. He sometimes says to me, no, it's lunchtime. Come, we're going to eat lunch. Come, we're going to have a power nap. And he'll just grab onto me and I'm like, no, I want to go to work. No, we're having a power nap. And then we have like a power nap. And then you wake up, you've got a whole renewed energy. In a lot of big businesses, they started introducing spaces where you could go and have a power nap. Or they would give people breaks that were long enough for you to go home and have a power nap, because they understand how it resets your brain. So sleep, focus on getting enough sleep. That will change so much of your life. I battle to fall asleep, especially if I had a busy day. Meditation. So one of the things that really helps me fall asleep, because I can also battle sometimes to fall asleep, is meditation. I use guided meditations, and now my brain knows when I switch on that meditation, that's my sleeping pill. It's time to go to sleep. So meditation is amazing for that. Try not to do screen time, those kind of things that get your brain really active. Try not to do anything like that before you go to bed. Read a novel, something that's not too exciting, so that you don't get too excited before bed, but read like a novel or a book, something like that really, really helps. Okay, so sleep. Exercise. What is the best exercise for your body, and how often do you do it? Meditating. Do you meditate? If you don't meditate, do you want to start meditating? How often do you want to meditate? How long do you want to meditate for? Now, I've got this all in your workbooks, guys, but the secret to filling this out is that I want you to think, when you are doing it, the highest version of myself, the best, most beautiful version of myself. How would they answer these questions? What would I be doing if I was showing up as the highest version of myself? Does that make sense? Veet, Jeanette, Caitlin, Pip, Alison? Yes? Natalie? Yes? Aileen? Prashanta? Thalia? Is it Thalia? Yeah, what a beautiful name, Thalia. Andy? Okay. Daphne? Desiree? Annalo? BJ? Ilana, Natalie, okay. Yes. Okay, so those are the important things. Now, a lot of you have asked me what I did during my healing process. What are the different healing modalities that I kind of embraced? So energy healing, I've always been very spiritual. I've just always, since I was little. I mean, I think I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was very lucky. My mom sent me to the Michael Mount Waldorf School in Johannesburg. Has anyone ever heard of a Waldorf school before? Just give me, or Rudolf Steiner. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys have heard. Haha, yes. Yeah. So I come from a Waldorf school background, and what's her name from Friends? Jennifer Aniston. Yes, Jennifer Aniston. Do you know that she's a Waldorf child, guys? I always use that as a little poop poop. We're from the same club. But anyway, it's a very unique way of educating students, and I feel very incredibly blessed. It's like one of the greatest gifts I think that my mom gave me was sending me to the Waldorf school, because I grew up in South Africa, which was at the height of the apartheid era, but it didn't touch me. I didn't know anything about what was going outside this beautiful bubble that had been created for me, which was the Waldorf school. And I had I'm a little Portuguese child with some French blood, and so I didn't even speak English. I learned English at school, so I arrived and I only spoke Portuguese, and I arrived into a class that had little German kids, and there were little Zulu kids, and there were little Afrikaans kids, and there were English kids, and they were just like this whole collection of all these different cultures. And it was great. My mom said my brother went to school and he didn't say one word for 6 months. 6 months, he didn't say one word, because my brother would only do it as soon as he knew that he was absolutely perfect in speaking. She said, I got home and I told her I could speak all the languages from all over the world. And then she asked me to demonstrate, and of course I did, but I was like, because I thought I could communicate with everyone, and I tried damn hard to communicate with everyone in my class. And but it was such a gift, because I grew up just embracing and loving all these different cultures that came into my class. And I will never forget, I was 7 or 8 years old. It was the beginning of class 2. And this little Indian girl joined our class. And we had never had a little Indian girl in our class. There were others in the school, but this was the first little Indian girl to join our class. And so I was fascinated, because she had so many gods, and I didn't have that many gods. Like, I didn't know that there were that many gods. And she had all of these gods. There were so many of them. And I thought this was amazing. This was the most incredible thing. And there was a little kid that had just come from America, and he had just moved to our school as well. And he was like, he heard me listening to this little girl telling me about all her gods, that I was just loving all these stories. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's only one God. And I was like, no, there's lots of them. Listen, come sit, come listen to all these other gods that are available to us. Come listen to this. And he was like, no, there's only one God. And I was like, no. And I ended up having a fight with this little boy, and I was so cross. And I went home. I went home and I spoke to my mom, and I was like, Mom, I am so upset because this little boy told the new little girl in our class that there's only one God. And that can't be true because she's got lots of gods. So surely it's because he comes from America and he only knows that one there. And she comes from India and she knows all the other ones. Well, how come they're fighting? Why don't they know that they must be the same ones? He's just seeing it from a different country. So somewhere in me, my mom was like, what? This crazy little child. But somewhere in me, I already at that age, before I knew or had been taught or could understand anything greater, I in me knew that all rivers led to the same ocean. And I believe that still today, that all rivers lead to the same ocean, that we are all part of a greater divine, and we see things and experience things in different ways because of our cultures, because of where we were brought up. But there is no exclusion. There's no exclusion. It's like that. Did I tell you the joke about the elephant and the blind men? No? Yes? Should I tell? Okay. So there's this bunch of blind men, and they are walking through a forest. They come across this elephant. And so the one is holding its leg, and the other one crawls underneath its stomach and it's rubbing its stomach. And the other one is holding its tail. And the other one has got its trunk, and it's like, oh, this is squishy. And the other one is climbed on top of its back, and it's like, wow, this is so broad and hot. And they start speaking to each other because they've never experienced something like this before. And so they say, and the one on the back goes, wow, it's so big. And it's like, it's broad and it's hot and the surface is rough. And the one that is underneath the stomach goes, oh, it is broad. It's really, really broad, but it's cold. What do you mean it's hot? It's like, it's really cold. And it almost like feels heavy on my hands. It's like, I'm wanting to like push it up. I can't push it up. And one whole leg goes, guys, it's not broad. I can almost touch my fingers around this thing. I can feel that it's rough, but I mean, it's stable, but I can just touch my fingers around it. And the one that's on the trunk says, you guys are nuts. You don't know what you're talking about. This thing is flopping all over the place. I'm getting wet. It's spitting at me. I don't know what's going on. Am I under a waterfall? And he's holding onto this thing. And the one holding the tail goes, I think you guys maybe had something that was like a bit dodgy because my hands are wrapped around, like both around this thing. And there's like a spiky end to it. There's no broadness here. There's like spikes, lots of like prickly, like wire-like things. And I don't know what you guys are talking about. And what happens? These men, because they are human, start having a fight. And they start arguing and arguing and arguing, and eventually they all kill each other. Why? Because human beings have this ridiculous thing, and I do it sometimes too. Who else does it? We need to be right. Can I have hands up? Yes, I do it too. Let's all just be honest with each other. I mean, this is the space for us to just own up to our little shadows. Yes, I do it. Yep, exactly. All of us do it. Okay, we have this need to be right. And it's about us catching ourselves when that inner need, when we can feel that stubborn Portuguese, like, brought up with an Italian best friend. I've got that stomping foot in me, So I have that like little thing. And then I've got to go, Susanna, your highest self would not behave like this. And then I bring myself back into center. So they kill each other. And what is the reality? They were all right. They were all experiencing the elephant from their unique perspective. Each one of us, we have people on this from all over the world, guys. Each of you has had your experience colored with events, with a community, with parents, with emotions, with information that's come to you because of the culture that you've been born into? Do you not think that that's formed a unique perspective on the world, on the way that life happens, on what God is? Do you guys get that? Yes? I want to see that you guys get that. Because if you get that, you'll never judge anyone again. It strips away judgment from anyone because you'll go, oh, but they see things differently. One of the books that I absolutely love, or one of the collection of authors, is from the imago therapy. But in the imago therapy, there isn't a right and a wrong. There's only your perspective and how it's made you feel, and my perspective and how it's made me feel, and how we can come together to make each other feel okay with each other about what happened. So when you have a disagreement, it's not about, no, but I'm right and you're wrong. It's about actually sitting back and going, okay, this was my experience of it and it's how it made me feel. This is your experience of it and how it made you feel. I'm so sorry that it made you feel that way. That was not my intention. This is what I was experiencing, and that's why I behaved like this. Can you imagine the world if that's how we dealt with a disagreement? Would we live in a different world? Completely different world. Oh, yes. Completely different. Completely. Yes. These kind of little shifts that we make within ourselves are all bringing us to our true center of living from a truly authentic place of love, which is when we are most in our power. And that is my aim for you. That's why I keep throwing all these little bits and pieces at you. I know there's a lot, guys, but these little bits and pieces are all little tiny shifts that create big ripples. And that's all we need to aim at the end of the day. You know, I've got a 1% rule. I totally get Mother Teresa. God, if you only give people what you think they can cope with, why did you have to trust me so much? You know, I love that quote by Mother Teresa. And we've all felt that, right? But what if we wake up every morning and we just go, I'm going to make the decision today to just be 1% better. 1% better today. Make one better decision for myself today. Instead of going, I'm going to completely change today. Every aspect of me is going to change today. I'm going to build Rome an entire day. What if we took that pressure off and we just woke up every morning and said, okay, today, I'm going to make one more decision today that is going to serve me a little bit better. Over a year, that compounds. Over 2 years, and it just multiplies and multiplies and multiplies, and you won't believe how quickly that magnifies and explodes, and how quickly your life will change when you stop and think, like when you have those moments of being stubborn or like wanting to be right or falling into a pattern, and you catch yourself and you go, okay, I'm stopping right now. I'm going to be my 1% better today, right now in this moment. What would my highest self do in this situation? How would my highest self show up in this situation? How would I behave? What would I say? And what would I do in this moment right now? And you do that, just that. Can you imagine how your life would change if you just, from everything that I've gone through in the last 5 sessions, if you just did that one thing that I'm telling you now? Do you believe that your life would change dramatically over a year? We are way too hard on ourselves. Galaxy A10. I don't know who Galaxy A10 is, but we are way too hard on ourselves. Definitely, definitely. So the other thing that I did was energy healing. I worked a lot with energy. I did something called body talk. I don't know if you guys have heard of body talk, but body talk neutralizes the trauma in your cells, in your physical cells, in your body. And it does that without needing to speak and without needing to actually relive the trauma. So specifically for people who have gone through a lot of trauma, body talk is an incredible modality for healing. If you've got children that have been through trauma, I highly recommend getting a really good body talk practitioner and letting them do body talk on them, because they don't need to understand and they don't need to verbalize and they don't need to relive trauma. And that's a big thing. I am not pro reliving trauma, guys. I don't think we need to relive it in order to heal from it. So there are different practices that do require you to relive your trauma. None of the ones that I recommend do that. I don't believe you need to relive your trauma in order to heal from it. So body talk, definitely. I did something called Qigong, because after I watched that Medicineless Clinic, you guys heard me speak about the Medicineless Clinic. Of course, the universe was supporting my healing at that stage. And so I'd heard about the Medicineless Clinic, and I was literally, it was a month and a half after my first chemo. So I was barely walking yet, because you got to remember, like, some people are having chemo and they're physically functioning, but I had near organ failure in almost all my organs. So I needed that time for my body to actually have the strength to really walk around. Like, I could walk a little bit and then I would need to like sit. I definitely couldn't sit up. I needed to be lying down. But I saw this and I was like, okay, I need to do Qigong. I need to do Qigong. I found the only Qigong practice in the whole of South Africa was in Cape Town. And guess what? The universe lined up for me, guys. Thank you. The next weekend, they were going to have a Qigong course in Johannesburg, where I was staying at my parents'. They were going to do that there. And it was just down the road from my parents' house. So I phoned the woman and I was like, this is what I've gone through. I need to learn how to do Qigong because I need to harness my Qi energy. I need to build the Qi energy. Now, the Qi energy is literally your life force energy. And what Qigong does, it gives you practices on how to grow and develop and harness your Qi energy. I'll go into this more as well in the membership, but I just want to this is how the universe supports you. How? In the whole of South Africa, there was one place that taught Qigong, and it was in Cape Town, so I couldn't get there. But they were coming and doing a course that very next weekend in Johannesburg down the road from my family. And so my dad would drive me to the course. I had to wear a mask because I had no immune system. I couldn't walk. He would walk me inside. I would lie on, they had a couch there for me. I would lie on the couch and I would listen to everything that was happening in that course. And I would then practice it in my mind as if I was doing it physically with them. That's how I learned Qigong. Eventually, I could physically do it myself, but that's how I learned Qigong. So when people say to me, I can't do it because I can't get out of bed. Yeah, you can, because you've got a mind. And if you've got a mind that you can harness and you can connect to your heart, you can do anything. Does that make sense, guys? We've got to remove the excuses and start showing up for ourselves on every level. So I did Qigong, I did body talk, I meditated, I used food as medicine, I slept. What else did I do? I did a couple of other things, but that was those were the core, very important things for me. I was going for body talk every week initially. because body talk also accelerates your body's healing mechanisms because it brings your energies into alignment. So that was like really important for me at the time. Yeah, I did all of those things. But the point is, of all of these things, the point is that there was nothing that I saw that I went, no, I can't do that because physically I can't get there. Or I can't do that because my body's not working the way I want it to be working right now. Or I can't do you know what I'm saying? There was no, I can't do that. There was just a, how am I going to figure out how to do that? Because I know that's what I need. So I'm going to just figure out how to do what I need. Yes? Give me yeses. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, the other thing that I did was I did Jungian therapy. So Jungian therapy is something that what I did, I used it very much because I wanted to understand what my subconscious mind was processing during this time, so that I could, anything that I was not seeing, I could see, so that I could transform it and heal it. That was very important to me. And so I got a Jungian therapist, and I've just connected to a group of Jungian therapists and psychologists. So if anybody wants to see one, they do Zoom calls, so they can do them internationally, and I can connect you to them. They're very highly recommended by my Jungian therapist. She cannot take any more people out, but she is part of a group that meet once a month and share information, and she highly recommends them. So definitely I can give you guys some links to that. But what it did for me is it helped me process everything that was happening along the way. How many of you write down your dreams? How many of you like remember your dreams? Just give me a yes if you do. Me, Daphne is saying yes. Vinka is saying sometimes. Can I tell you, the more you write down your dreams, the more dreams you remember. So initially, when I started writing them down, it would take me like maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Oh my goodness, guys, 6 months in, sometimes I was sitting and writing for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Thank God I wasn't able to work yet, because I wouldn't have had time to work because I was sitting there writing away. My dreams were so vivid. But the incredible thing is that your subconscious mind is on your side, you know? So it's trying to communicate with you all the time. And if you take the time to actually pay attention and listen to your subconscious mind, it's going to give you so much more, because it wants to help you get to where you need to go. Does that make sense? And as you honor your subconscious mind, it honors you more. Yes. Yes. Daphne's giving me a thumbs up in her little screen. Yes. Nontlandla is giving me a yes, 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 yes. Okay, amazing. I worked with my Jungian therapist for a year. So I only started working with her, I think it was about 4 months after I started chemo. And then I worked with her for a year after that. And it was incredible. And then I remember contacting her when I did my first course, Love, Health and Happiness. It was a live course. And I said, please will you come and be one of my guest speakers and just speak about Jungian therapy to my students? And she said, sure, no problem. And I said, you know, you were absolutely key in my healing. For me, it was absolutely key. Understanding and being in connection with my subconscious mind and knowing what was going on so that I could really honor it and work with it. That was key for me. I said, thank you so much. And she said, yes. And then she said something to me which I did not expect. She said, but Susanna, you know, you have to honor yourself, because if you hadn't taken every action, if you hadn't made every decision that you had made, you would not have healed the way you have healed, even if you'd done Jungian therapy. And so that is my thing that I want to really leave you guys with, because I've got one more point. But it's really up to you. Healers only facilitate healing. Any honest healer will tell you that. They're not actually healers. They are facilitators of a healing process. A doctor facilitates healing. They will diagnose you. They will give you medication, whether they are a homeopathic doctor or a normal doctor. A healer does exactly the same. They will hold the space energetically for you to heal, but nothing will happen without your higher self wanting that healing to happen and allowing that healing to happen. Does that make sense to you guys? Because it all actually, at the end of the day, comes from you. And that is so important. And that's why I started this session with you understanding where in your lives you're being victims. What are you getting from that? What would you be giving up if you had to stop doing that? And what would you be gaining? Because as soon as you start understanding what you can gain, that healing process will start naturally kicking in. But your mind, subconsciously and consciously, has to know that the real value lies there, not in the way that you've been, not in the pattern you've been repeating, not in your old way of being. Otherwise, it's going to stay there, because if your mind, subconscious and conscious, believes there's more reward in being there, you're not going to heal, you're not going to change, nothing's going to change. Just repeat that. You need to understand that if you cannot see the reward in being healed, in being the best version of yourself, in not being depressed, in not being the victim, if that reward does not outweigh the comfort, because guys, people stay in abusive relationships for years. Why? Not because they are happy. They're not happy in an abusive relationship, but they've grown comfortable in the discomfort. It becomes more scary to leave the dysfunctional state that they're in than to stay in the dysfunctional state that they're in. It's exactly the same. That framing applies to everyone. Do you understand that? I need you guys to really, really get this. Okay, believe. I get it. Okay, thank God, because that is so important to me. Okay, I get it. You can rewatch this again as well, guys. If something, if you didn't hear something, rewatch it. And I'm just going to finish with the last thing, and that is where I am now, fulfilling my promise. That time where I fell on my knees and went, God, I love Buddha Christian. It's not the only time I've done that, just by the way. It's happened again, okay? Like a year into, well, it was a year into finishing chemo. Yeah, it was a year after I finished chemo. I had now been trying to do some work for 6 months, because I now was physically able to do a few things, and I was trying to do some work, but my doctors were like, no stress. So you're not allowed to produce feature films anymore. You're not allowed to do radio and do all of these things that are high stress because they're live, and, they are some of the most stressful jobs, that you can do. And so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? So I tried all kinds of things. I even tried to get a fleet of Uber drivers together. I was like, it's fine. I can be an Uber driver for a while, and then I'll, get going with that. And then I'll get somebody else to drive my car and get another car, and I'll start an Uber fleet. That's what I'm going to do. And then they closed applications for Uber drivers. I was like, damn, missed that boat. And so I was trying all these things in the universe. I was just hitting dead ends. And eventually I was like, come on, universe, can you please just give me a break? What am I supposed to do? If I'm not supposed to be producing feature films, what am I supposed to be doing? I'm trying here. And literally 2 days later, and I think I told you this, I bumped into Robin Banks in Sea Point here in Cape Town. And Robin lives in Joburg. And I'd met Robin because I'd interviewed him before I collapsed, like a year and a half before that. I'd met Robin, and I bump into him, and now I've got no hair because I had chemo. So my hair just started growing back. So I had like I don't know, like a cap of hair, basically, like really, really, like a pixie cut of hair. And I bump into Robin. I'm like, Robin, I can't believe I'm bumping into you. And I'm totally thinking Robin recognizes me. And Robin's like, who is this person? And he's going, oh, hi, how are you doing? And he thought that I was just like, I was somebody that he had met somewhere and he couldn't place me. And then he clicked and he was like, oh my God. He said, where's all your hair? And I said, I kind of almost died. But don't worry, I'm fine now. And he was like, what? And I said, yeah, don't worry, but I'm fine now. And he said, and you promised you'd come to one of my talks. And I said, I know, I'm so sorry. I did almost kind of die. It wasn't like I just disappeared. And he said, well, I'm having one tomorrow night. Please come. So I said, okay. Cape Town winter. Okay, any Cape Townians out there will know this. We don't go out in winter because it's cold and we ninnies. And so we stay indoors. And it was a Cape Town winter night. And so all I wanted to do was stay indoors. But the universe had sent me this gift of me bumping into Robin Banks. And he had said, come to my talk. And so I put on every piece of warm clothing I could find, and I got in my car and I went to Killarney Hall or whatever it was called. And I watched Robin do his introductory talk. And I was just blown away by the transformation, the palpable transformation I could feel in the room. And I was like, this is amazing. And so I went to him afterwards and I said, Robin, I said, when are you going back to Joburg? And he said, tomorrow afternoon. I said, can I have coffee with you tomorrow morning? And he said, oh, okay. And and he's like, a pretty girl asked you to go for coffee. You say yes. And I was like, thank God. And the next morning we met for coffee. But that night I went home and I researched him again because I'd interviewed him a year and a half before. So I needed to make sure that I was up to date on everything Robin Banks. So I sat up for 3 hours researching him. His website was built in the Stone Ages. He had 2 different logos. He had no online presence whatsoever. And I was like, yes, this is something I can do. I was a creative director. I can help Robin change lives. That is in alignment with my promise to the universe, right? Because I promised to make it worthwhile. It didn't need to be me. I didn't think it was going to be me, guys. I didn't think I'd be sitting here teaching you guys like I am now. I thought I was going to help other people, wise people teach you guys. That's what I thought, back then. Because I didn't think I would be somebody who would teach. And so next morning I met Robin and I was like, okay, so Robin, I'm just going to be brutally honest with you. I said, your online presence is a mess. I said, you're an international speaker. Your website looks like it was built in the Stone Ages. You've got 2 different logos here and there. You've got no online product. I said, this is what you need to do. And I went boom, 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 boom. And I lay out this whole plan. And he kind of just sat back with like this open mouth, like, what the hell just happened here? And then, of course, I laughed and I said, I know it's a lot. And he said, no, I've been calling you into being. This is amazing. And so we both laughed. And I said, I need to work with you because I need to help you reach more people. And he was like, I think you do need to work with me. And literally a week later, I was on a plane and off I went to Joburg. And Robin and I started working together. What I hadn't anticipated is that Robin and I would co-create so beautifully together. And so I did. The first thing I did was I sorted out his branding. I sorted out his website. It's now needing an update again, which he's doing now. But at that point, I rebooted the Robin Banks brand. And then I said, okay, we need products. Let's create digital products so that you can reach people. And I helped Robin create his first online course, which was called Sustaining the Magic. So for any of you who have done Mind Power, you will receive Sustaining the Magic. Robin and I co-created that together. And it was an amazing, amazing process, and I loved it. I also got Robin to do monthly webinars. And every time a webinar would come up, he would go to me, Susanna, you're a teacher and a speaker. You need to be doing this. Like, you need to be, because I'd be going, okay, I read this book and blah, blah, blah. He calls me like R2D2, like a punch in thing, because I'm always like reading and trying to find new information and then share it. And so Robin started throwing me on stage and saying, you have to introduce me tonight. And I was like, no, Robs, I'm fine. Like, you go do your thing. He was like, no, you're introducing me tonight. And literally would throw me on stage. And so that's where this actually was born. It's Robin's fault, guys. You can all blame Robin, okay? Because he's the one that the universe sent along who kind of shoved me and said, this is what you're meant to be doing. Thank you, Robin. And so then I'm going to tell him, send him a message and say thank you, Robin, because he loves it when people say, oh, good job, Robs. But so I did that, and I worked with Robin for 2.5 years, and I still work with Robin. He's now part of my Thrive network. I bring him in and we have conversations around topics that we're both passionate about, and we empower people. And he's become one of my best friends, literally one of my best friends in the world. And we've been best buddies now for 5 years. And I treasure him immensely and I do believe the universe sent him to help me with this, to help me on this path. And he's actually the one as well because I did do that first course, and then I slipped away again, and I kind of went into another realm, which was also celebrating people and empowering people, but in a totally different way. I was working within the creative industry, and I really highlighted, because for me it was so important. I feel so passionately about this. South Africans undermine themselves. South Africans don't value themselves in the way that they should. And I know, because I work with internationals all the time, that as much value as you find out there in the world exists here in South Africa. And so I came up with the concept of creating a show that was 70% South Africans and 30% internationals, and they were both placed on the same platform, and it showed their talent, so that when South Africans watched it, they could go, oh, look what's going on here. Same, but different. And subconsciously, that shift will start happening for you to go, we are of as much value. And so I went and did that work for a while. And it was great, and I had fun. But then the universe went, hi, miss, can you please come back? Because there's other work to do. And Robin was one of the people who said it to me, and Brian was one of the people who said it to me. They were like, when are you going to start, Susanna? When are you going to start? And I was like, no, I'm helping all the other teachers in the world reach everybody in the world. And they were like, but you're supposed to be doing this. And so finally, with another push, I put on my big girl panties, and I'm here with you guys. And I thank you for taking this leap and being a part of my very first online course. It has been, for me, just such an honor and privilege. I'm blown away every time by the beauty of your comments and support and love that you share in this beautiful community that you guys have created, that we've created. Wendy, I don't know what I would do without you, so I'm just going to thank you right now. I have been praying for you to come into my life, literally praying for you to come into my life. And yeah, guys, just give Wendy a round of applause. I'm going to unmute you all at the same time. I want you guys all to just give Wendy a huge round of applause. So Wendy has been like literally my right hand, helping me with so many things that if she hadn't, I wouldn't have had the time to put this much heart into prepping for you guys and making sure that I give you value. And that's what I want to know. Do you feel like you've received value from doing this course? I want to know that you feel like this has been a good investment for you guys. Absolutely. So much. So much. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Without a doubt. Yes. So precious. Absolutely. Amazing. Then good. Then I am at peace with what I've done. So wonderful. Yay. Okay. Thank goodness. I'm probably going to go and cry after this with just gratitude. But thank you to all of you for taking the chance of coming and investing in this and being with me today. I really am. I'm so honored and privileged to have been able to share this time with you. So thank you. So I'm going to end tonight with one of my favorite sayings that I want you guys to use whenever something wonderful happens. You say, thank you, more please. Okay? So that you acknowledge when something good happens in your life, when there's a good moment that happens in your life, when you achieve something, when you experience breakthrough, when you have a moment where you go, oh, this too shall pass. Thank you, more please. Gratitude is the great accelerator and attractor of bringing more of what you want into your life. So practice it. Thank you, more please. And that's how I'm going to end tonight. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you. And I look forward to more, please. Bye for now.